When I was about 4 years old, I was picked up by the police and put in the back of a police car along with some of my siblings from some relatives or home that I was living in at the time. And we were taken down to the police station for questioning about child abuse. Now, 4 years old, I didn't know what child abuse was. I did know that when I was bad, I was disciplined. And I didn't really know whether or not the discipline was too extreme or not. I also didn't know the consequences of my actions. I didn't know what the consequence was going to be based on what I said to these police officers. I actually don't recall in detail what I said, nor do I recall in detail what anyone said. But I do know that they gave us a lot of snacks and treats and just kept asking us over and over. And if I can remember correctly, I don't remember, I mean, saying anything specific, but whatever they got from us was enough for them to arrest the family members that we were living with at the time. And as a result, they lost everything. Everything. It was a devastation to them, to the family. And to this day, I have a wonderful relationship with one of those family members and a very bruised relationship with the other. If you guys are just now tuning in, rewind this so that you guys can see the story that I just got through telling. So, yeah, to this day, that's kind of like where we're at with our family. And listen, when I think back on what transpired, what I could remember about what transpired and what I was told, I can say that, yeah, maybe the way we were being disciplined was a bit excessive. But as an adult today, thinking about taking in six of somebody else's kids to live with me, um, I just think about how stressful of a situation that would be for me. And I basically could understand why you would need to have some sort of disciplinary routine in place to manage the kids. And um, I don't know. Like I said, I have a loving relationship with one of the relatives who was involved in this incident, which means whatever it was that they did to me when I was a child, I still love them anyway. And I was four. I say all that to say that it's crazy to know that, these police officers can truly take children and um, have grown up discussions with them, discussions that could lead to very detrimental results for the lives of those children, the lives of the adults involved or not involved. In my situation, there were adults involved that were consequenced. And when I saw the first episode of When They See Us, it was the first time in a long time that I recalled that incident the way that I did. And it really just broke my heart because in my situation, maybe it wasn't so bad, the outcome. I mean, for me personally. I mean, obviously it wasn't so bad, the outcome, because I wasn't in trouble. I wasn't in jail. But in their situation, that same activity wound got them wound up in a whole a whole situation where what I've been told, because I haven't seen all the episodes, they had to serve years and years and years of time in jail as a result. By the way, spoilers, because I haven't seen the show, but I have watched interviews and talked to people about it. So I haven't seen it all. I haven't seen all four episodes, only the first episode. It's just crazy to me to know that we have a system that would allow that type of thing. It is also very painful for me to imagine as a mother, my child going through something like that. When I was being questioned, I don't remember any adults being around at all. I don't know how they got away with that. This was back in 1993, I believe. 90, yeah, probably 93, maybe 94. I don't know how they got away with that because I don't remember any adults being present. And in the situation of the young men that were in this show, that was absolutely the case. And it's just insane to me. So welcome to Morning Tea Talk with me, Miss Ruby. Thank you for subscribing to my channel, for turning on your notifications if you haven't already done so. Thank you for involving yourself in this discussion. Today, I am just kind of talking to you guys about, I just want to have a discussion, honestly, about the things that went down in this series. I don't mind if you guys give spoilers in the discussion, because I haven't seen all 4 episodes, but I'm going to watch them regardless to what I find out about them. I did watch a full-length interview with Ava DuVernay on The Breakfast Club, and she gave a lot of details there as well. But let me know some of your thoughts about and some of your takeaways when you saw that. I'm drinking lemon ginger tea today because I am sick, and my daughter got sick, so I got sick, and that's just kind of how it goes. I am hoping that this ginger, because I have actual like ginger root pieces in this tea that I boiled in the water for a while, and then I let the actual lemon ginger tea bag steep for a long time. So I'm hoping that I can extract a lot of the I think it's antibacterial properties that you get through ginger. Because I don't like to take medicine. So typically when I get sick, I'm just like full throttle. What can I eat, drink? What can I avoid eating and drinking to heal myself? I'm big on that. And then I only resort to medicine when I absolutely have to. I believe that food can be our medicine as well as lifestyle. And so, yeah, that's why I'm drinking this today. Let me know what you guys are drinking. I'm going to look at some of your comments real quick. I watched it with family and went to sleep with my eyes red. I understand. Hey, everybody, just say hello, hello, hello. Yeah, Gingerade. Actually, I don't have any sugar in this tea, any sweetener at all. I do that a lot. I try to drink my tea without adding any sweetener, because there's so many things that we consume that have sweeteners added to them that are just terrible for our body, and there's in some ways you can't really avoid it, like if you're out and you just got to eat. So when I'm at home, I try to add as little sugar as possible. Hey, Jay the One too. Hey to everybody. Horchata. Oh, yeah, I've never, but that's like a fruit-based drink, right? Thank you for the recommendation. So when they see us, has anybody seen it? Other than the people who have already mentioned it, please don't mind the tear in my shirt. Listen, I'm at home. It's one of those days, okay? Not feeling well, but I still wanted to go live. So my heart broke. I'm scared to watch the next 3 episodes, but I feel like it's my responsibility as a Black woman in this country, as a mother, as a woman, as just a human being. It's my responsibility to peek into the lives and the story of these young boys, because this kind of stuff happens all the time, and it's heartbreaking. It's so heartbreaking that I try not to even tune in too much. Like, I don't watch the news a whole bunch. I watch it here and there. I like to be abreast of the most important things that are happening to our society, because we all do have a responsibility in this democracy to have a voice and a choice in the matter. But aside from that, I try not to fill my head with this kind of stuff, because it really does rest heavy. And most of the people I talked to that responded to my post on Facebook about their reaction to this, they all was talking about how they cried. They just, it was just a lot. It was real heavy. So here's the fact. The fact of the matter is that at the age that these young boys were, 14, 15, 16 years old, they're very malleable. Their minds are very, what is the word that I'm looking for? Impressionable. I know that at 14, 15, 16 years old, that we all think that we're grown. And there's a lot about what we decide at those ages, at our teenage stage, that is actually legitimate. But when you have no history with dealing with law enforcement, and you don't really understand whether or not you're going to get in trouble about something, then you can be easily manipulated. And so that's really what broke my heart to see. Now, I know that this was filmed. We're not actually watching live what happened, but this is a film that was based on a true story. So there were interviews that were held, to extract this information, to get this information. There were interviews that were declined by, I think, one of the main prosecutors and different people like involved, I would say on the law enforcement side, that they didn't want to do the interviews. So the only story that we have to go off of are the people who are willing to tell the story. And so far, what it looks like is that they were all bamboozled. And what really bothers me is, okay, so they're young and they're malleable, right? And it sucks that we live in a society where people get so caught up in their jobs and so caught up in their own personal reputation and their own personal agendas that they can screw somebody else over just to protect themselves and just to carry out whatever their agenda is. So I try to look at everything from all standpoints, right? I try to think about what was going through the minds of the prosecutor, of the detectives, of the police officers, like what was going through their minds. And all I could really think of is that, obviously the main lady, I forget her character's name, she had an agenda. She really, really, really wanted to, be the voice for rape victims. And she felt like it was a sector of victims that were being neglected. They weren't really given the opportunity to have cases and have justice. And so she felt like it was incredibly important for her to go all in on this particular case. And she felt certain. She was so certain in her mind that it had to be these boys. And I honestly think that that came from a couple of places. Number one, prejudices. It's easy to write off people who you just automatically put in a box. Like if you automatically see little black boys as little thugs, then you're not looking at them as human beings. You're not looking at them compassionately. You're not considering that they have family members that love them, that they might be just the exact same mentally, emotionally, spiritually as the little white boys that you love in your family. You're not looking at them as equal to begin with. So off top, you're just looking at them through the lens of someone who obviously doesn't have empathy and obviously doesn't have experience being around these people 24/7. And so that's what we've been dealing with in this country forever. But then second of all, you're looking at this situation with your own agenda, and so you're dehumanizing these people. Like what this woman was doing, I feel, was irresponsible. It was like, instead of looking at the facts, and beyond a shadow, like going to the extent where you put your case together so that it could be complete beyond a shadow of doubt, instead of investigating things like me, when people bring information to me, yeah, depending on who the person is that they're talking about, I may have a little bit of a bias. Like if you tell me something about my daughter, who I've seen growing up and I've seen all of her tendencies, and I can tell that, yeah, she has a tendency to lie here and there, but she's never been a thief. And you tell me she stole something, I'm gonna doubt that at first, but I'm not going to jeopardize, I would say, the freedoms, the liberties, and the safety of someone else as a result of this story, just because of my own belief. I'm going to look into it. I'm actually going to require myself that before someone else gets in trouble for this deed that could very well be the responsibility of my daughter, I'm going to make sure that my daughter didn't do it beyond a shadow of a doubt. Like, I'm not going to just go off my own personal agenda. And I think it's our responsibility as human beings to be like that, to try and be as unbiased as possible. Yes, you want to protect the people that you love. Yes, you want to protect the rape victims out there, but at the expense of potentially sending people to jail who could very well be innocent. It was so irresponsible. Like I said, this story was told through the lens of the people who were actually willing to do the interviews, and obviously she probably wasn't one of them. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I remember Ava in her interview saying that this woman wasn't willing to interview. And so, yeah, I just think that it was incredibly irresponsible. And this is me being considerate. This is me considering that maybe they weren't just out to ruin these little boys' lives, right? Because I know that there are a lot of opinions that would say that they just were racist, prejudiced, and didn't care. Like, and that could very well be true as well. But I'm trying to be considerate. Like, maybe you weren't out to ruin these little boys' lives. Maybe your gut feeling told you that they did it, even though all of the evidence wasn't adding up. You still should have done your due diligence, period. And your due diligence does not include manipulating these little boys with story. And I get it. She wasn't in the room with them, right? But you had to know what your detectives were doing on your behalf. So going to the detectives, what was their motive? Like, I'm going to read some of your comments right now, but my thoughts are like, their motives. I think that the ones that are constantly dealing with, actual thugs and actual criminals, they're incredibly biased. Like the police officers that are out on the street with all of this rage and animosity and just ready to just shoot them up, bang, bang, whenever they get an opportunity, is because that they've had too many personal encounters with people that were actually criminals and that actually accosted. They were actually um, um, uh, what is the word that I'm looking for? Actually threatened their lives before. And so then they start to put people in a box. And I think those people really shouldn't be the ones in the interrogation rooms because they have strong biases and strong prejudices, period, based on their personal experiences. And so they didn't care at all. Like they knew that they were manipulating these little boys. And they didn't care because they just wanted to wrap the case up so that they could go home to their families, maybe. Or they wanted to maintain their reputations. It's sickening to me. And honestly, it makes me happy that a lot of those types of people are going to die soon. Like I feel like the generation that we're in right now, we're all becoming a lot more aware. So if you choose to be like racist and prejudiced right now, you're in your 20s and your 30s and you're growing up in this time and you have all this history to learn from, then I hope that you're the anomaly, or I just hope that you are the rare case. And I think that like I have no sympathy for you at all. Like at least the people who are 90 years old and 80 years old right now, and they grew up in times where they were taught to be that way, at least you could say, man, that was wrong and that was horrible, but you were raised to be like that. But nowadays you have no excuse. So I'm kind of happy that then people that are older and getting older and that are like that, I'm kind of happy that they're gonna die off soon, honestly. And I know that sounds really bad, but it is what it is. Let me read some of your comments real quick. Hello, everybody. It's still a snappy baby. Where to comb at? Dang, that is just so disrespectful. But I mean, it's cool. Listen, when I get on these morning tea talks, I'm not getting dressed up for y'all. So, and I don't know, Marshall CK, I just want to address you real quick because you respond to all of my videos with this my hair looks nappy thing. I don't know if you're a curly hair person, and I don't know if you understand that curly hair is not always going to look perfectly neat. I mean, Afro curly girls, that's the thing about our hair, is it's like imperfect, but it's healthy and it's pretty to us. Second of all, most of the times when you're responding to my videos, my hair isn't done. So right now it is nappy. I'm not gonna comb my hair right now because I just woke up and I'm just doing a live video and I really don't care. Both of my son, one of which is disabled, have experienced the fit the description with, see, exactly. That's horrible. That's why I'm nervous about seeing the show. Yeah, I can understand that. Eat Up with CMC Crew, Mary Franklin. I can understand that. I could definitely understand that. Good afternoon, CC's World. Your hair is not nappy. Thank you. That person, I honestly think, is a kind of probably just like maybe just trying to leave negative comments on my videos just to get a response, or is just ignorant about my hair, my capabilities to make my hair nice. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not mentally prepared to watch it. I have a 16-year-old son. I just haven't been able to bring myself to do it. Thank you, Kylie Harris. Yeah. People who have sons out there, man, I ain't even got no sons. I got brothers, I have a husband, I have a child, I have a daughter. Either way, just to know that this kind of thing can happen, it makes me wonder too, like, what can we do to stop it in the future? I know one of the only proactive thing that I know is that we can train up our children to understand the law at a very young age. Unfortunately, I know it's kind of heavy to put on them because you're gonna have to tell them why to protect themselves, but to understand their rights. I remember when I was young, my mom and my aunt, they used to try to tell us stuff all the time. If the cops stop you, don't say nothing. Make sure they read you your Miranda rights. And, if somebody calls, like, don't say it. Like, they used to always, like, tell us, like kind of how to, like, handle ourselves if in the presence of law enforcement. So I grew up always looking at the cops as, like, a threat to us. And they were. That's just a fact. I think that in this country, they are notable for being protect and serve. And I think for certain that that's their duty. And I don't mean to offend any cops who may be watching this, but there has been a reputation in the hood. There has been a reputation in the ghettos that is complete opposite of that. We don't feel protected and we don't feel served. We feel threatened and scared for our lives when in the presence of police officers. And yeah, I know that a lot of people in the hood and in the ghettos commit criminal activity, but that's a whole nother conversation. I'm starting to feel like Black people in America deserve a certain level of, I feel like we're given the short end of the stick generally. We're given less consideration, and I actually feel that we deserve extended consideration. I don't know how to use that in like legal terms, how to say that in legal terms, but I feel like we ought to be um, given extended consideration, meaning that if somebody of the Black culture gets caught up in something, that we should be given therapy and I don't know what the word would be. You guys, is it? There's a word for it. Let me know in the comments if you can help me like describe what it is I'm trying to say. But we should be given like some sort of not leniency, like, oh yeah, you slap on the wrist, go out in the street and continue committing your crimes. No, but maybe we should be given a little bit more help. Maybe we should be given a little bit more aid in addressing like what led us to be like that. Because a lot of times these little boys that's out there looking like thugs, and a lot of them ain't actually committing crimes. But even the fact that they're surrounding themselves in those environments where they could be, where they could get in trouble. A lot of times they're just doing what they were taught to do to survive in the streets. Why? Because at a very like a long time ago, like when we were freed as slaves, we weren't actually free. We were still very much endangered, like endangered species walking around here. Like they couldn't wait to lock us up, and they found legal ways to lock us up, and they ruined the family, and they, the whole Willie Lynch letter situation, and they turned us against one another. They made us into the beasts that we once were, survival of the fittest, and having to be out there doing the things that we did in order to survive. They took away our opportunities. We had to fight to get them. Or let me say this, they didn't take them away. They never gave them to us the way that they gave them to other people in this country. And so it's understandable why a lot of our ancestors did what they had to do to survive and started illegal businesses, got really good and crafty at these illegal businesses, because their ancestors were never given the liberties to actually explore honest business pursuits, or maybe they were locked up and they had criminal records. And there's just so many different pieces to the conversation as to why we've ended up with the mentalities that we've ended up with. And we have to shake that. We have to do better in the future now that we're aware of it. But I don't think that we should be so heavily consequenced all the time when one of our own gets in trouble. I think that little boys like that should be talked to. And in this situation, little boys were completely innocent. But sometimes there are little boys that maybe stole a candy bar from the store, and maybe they did something else, and now they looking at, all of this jail time for little miscellaneous things, misdemeanor type things that they did. But why not explore the mentality? Like, did you go into the home? Did you see how they live in? Like, do you see who's raising them? Like, what kind of reconstructive, things could we, I guess, reconstructive programs could we actually create to help our youth to actually rehabilitate their minds and rehabilitate their activities? Like, we can't just continue to punish this activity without first understanding the activity and dissecting the activity and getting to the root of the actual problem. Because I know me, when I was a little girl, I stole all the time. I was looking for trouble. I was ready to fight. That was the mentality that I walked out the door with, period, every single day. And I began to take pride in that kind of stuff too. And it took a lot of growing up. It took some positive influences in my life and my willingness to actually listen. And actually, I fought it a lot. I fought a lot of those positive influences, like not physically fought, but I rejected a lot of information for a long time until I started to see enough things happening around me and realizing, yeah, I'm not trying to go to jail or get pregnant and end up with a whole bunch of babies at 13. And, I started to like learn from other people's mistakes around me and to see that the way that I was living my life was going to land me in a place that I didn't really want to be. And because I started to come across positive mentorship that I could listen to from people who had been there, done that, unfortunately, I was able to learn. But thank God that I had those opportunities, because growing up all the way up until 13, 14 years old, I didn't have much of that. I had survival of the fittest. We out here, like, what's good? You know what I'm saying? And it's like, I'm so thankful that I had that opportunity. And I realized it's not that I was damaged goods. It's not that I was incapable of being wise, making smart decisions. It's just that I was raised a certain way. And so it really breaks my heart when I think about stories like this, because I look at these little boys and I'm like, that's somebody's son, that's somebody's brother, that's somebody's boyfriend, that's somebody's love. Somebody loves them, and they're just being thrown into a pile of trash as if they were worthless to begin with, just because somebody else wanted to save face, or whatever it was that the motives were, like I said, of the people that convicted them. These little boys were actually innocent, and there's nothing at all that they could get. There's no type of like reparations that they could get at this point. No amount of money, no amount of status, no amount of fame that they could get to get those years back. And that is like, just imagine someone just taking your life away and there's nothing that you can do about it because you have limited resources. You don't have access to good quality lawyers or even information because you spent your whole life just trying to rise up to. It's kind of like there's this standard, there's this like, I don't know, this level that one could start at that would say, we all start here, build from here so that you can become something in life. Doctor, lawyer, teacher, business person, or whatever it is. And you're starting right here. But imagine that these little boys are starting from below that level. That's kind of where we're at as Black people in America. We're starting from below. So we're just trying to get up to normal. And how to put that in perspective is like, maybe the average person in America who's not African American, Latino, or who's not, I would say, deprived financially, the way that we are, maybe they start out in a family with both parents at home on average. Maybe they start out where their family makes enough income to where they have breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It may not be top quality stuff, but maybe they start out being, having access to education, having access to medication when necessary, and having some sort of family construct that is decent. And so they can go through life's challenges and have support. And then, like I said, you may not be wealthy or whatever, but you have some sort of support. But then imagine a child who is waking up every day hearing gunshots out their window, scared for their life, not knowing where their next meal is going to come from, not being taught anything constructive because maybe they're around a lot of gang violence and a whole lot of other people that are just doing what they were taught because they started out below. And so now we're just trying to figure out how to fend for ourselves just to be normal. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, just to have average quality normal lives. Like, you go to school, there's a field trip, your teachers expect you to participate, but you have shoes that are talking. Like, maybe you guys are going to an amusement park and they're like, oh, wear comfortable shoes. These are things that I went through as a kid. Wear comfortable shoes, but you got shoes that's talking that you got from Payless, and you don't know when your mom's going to have another $15 to go buy you another pair of shoes. So ain't no such thing as wearing shoes that's comfortable. Ain't no such thing as bring sunblock to protect yourself or spray yourself for the mosquitoes. Ain't no such thing as bring a packed lunch because you're not going to be at school where the free lunch is provided. There's no such thing as any of that. All that so there's so many things that you're deprived of just at a very young age that depriving you from going to the I don't know, museum of science, or, you learn about the history of dinosaurs or learn about the history of, America, or that are depriving you from going out into nature or going on. I wasn't able to ever go on camping trips at school. We couldn't afford to participate in that at all. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, learning how to develop your social skills outside of the construct of standard education and the way that that's set up. Like, there's so many opportunities that little children that are brought up in the ghetto, in the hood, in America, that they don't even have opportunities to get out. And it wasn't until I had the opportunity through very unique circumstances to get out and interact with people outside of the small city that I was living in, that my mind expanded and I started to see, yo, life is about more than just this. So this discussion has sprawled into a whole bunch of, other things. I thank you for following me. I'm gonna look at y'all chats in a minute, but these are just the things that are just on my mind when I think about little boys who could even end up in situations like the little boys in this movie. And I think about us, and I am looking forward to the day when they see us. It was a great title, when they see us as legit human beings, as equal, as just as necessary. So I'm gonna read some of your comments. I'm not meant to prepare 16-year-old beautiful. Thank you. We need more POC as lawyers, and we need to implement a system where law enforcement is accountable. Absolutely. Actually, somebody on social media, one of the people that I follow on social media, I just noticed is, I guess there's like a petition going around. I'm gonna see. I'll put it in the description if I find that it correlates with what we're talking about. My hair is nice. I have long hair. Thank you. Hi, do you play any sport or dance? I dance. I love to dance. I love to dance. And actually, I'm looking forward to uploading some dance videos on my channel soon. Or if not soon, eventually. We need more of these. True, you're right. Yes, so true. Have you ever seen a movie called Cold Mountain? No, I haven't. In certain scenes, this lady said this world won't last long like this. No, absolutely not. Hello from Irvine, Kentucky. Irvine, Kentucky. Hello, Stephen Peterson from Irvine, Kentucky. So this video has been 31 minutes long. I want to end it. I need to get my day started and continue on being as productive a member of society as I can, changing the narrative about young Black women in this country. We're doing a great job at it so far, but we have to continue, and we have to continue to press forward and force them to see us. Force them to see us. My heart is broken for all of those relatives, moms, friends of the people who have to live through these types of injustices in this country. Continue to pray, continue to seek reparation, continue to seek evolvement from the circumstances that we were placed in without our consent. We have to grow from this just like our ancestors did. And it's difficult to watch this series, but I think that it is our responsibility as conscious human beings in this country, in this world, to look at stories like this and allow them to educate us, allow them to influence us and inspire productive, positive activity and positive, what would the word be? Just allow them to inspire us to grow from it and not allow it to continue to happen to us. We have to take care of us, because they're not going to. Straight up. Thank you guys for joining me on today's live. You must be born again, repent, turn away from willful sin. God bless. Remember, no man in the building will save you. Jesus said, follow me, no one else. I agree. Talk to you later.